Hello and welcome to Kidder Farms. We're back with another episode of Farmville, North Carolina, and we're going to try and knock out this sunflower contract here today. We filled up the grain cart here. We've got the grain truck brought up here to be unloaded into, so we're going to start by unloading this grain cart, getting the truck filled up here. I think this is going to more than fill up the truck itself, and then we can go and unload the combine here real quick, and I think that'll be just about enough to top off the trailer, and we can run this up to the elevator wherever it needs to go and start to get a feel for how we're doing on a yield perspective on harvesting this field. I think if we take a look at the map while we're unloading here, we can see that we're not going to get this chunk in the very bottom corner, but we've already taken out a good chunk of the field, not a lot of the field. But if we click over to the contracts here and actually look at the field 27 contract, it says that we've already done 37% of the work necessary for harvesting, which is encouraging me because I don't feel like we've done a third of the ground on the field. And so I'm very hopeful again that we're going to be able to knock this contract out today and hopefully have enough sunflowers harvested as well as ground area harvested, because I wasn't even thinking about the ground area until I saw the 33% pop up in the corner there as we were getting the episode started today. So let's get this combine unloaded on his way back down, get this grain into the truck, and let's see where we're at from hauling some grain up to the elevator. We're catching up with the combine, it looks like, just before it's going to be full, so timing couldn't have probably been any better. If I can get up here and start unloading before he actually gets full. There we go. Looking good, looking good. And I think this combine holds just a little bit over 220 bushels, maybe 230. Plus we're getting some as we harvest our way down here. I think we are going to just keep unloading for the rest of the run back. So I've got the maximum possible amount in here to hopefully top off this trailer. We haven't even figured out where the elevator is yet that we need to take this sunflowers up to. So we'll have to sort that out here in just a moment after we dump into the truck here. So as we're unloading here, I'm realizing that I'm not sure the combine's going to continue back into the corner. We've got a little bit of a triangle back in the far corner that we're going to need to harvest out, and we didn't have nearly enough to fill up the back trailer here anyway. So I think what we're going to do is run back down to the other end here with the grain cart, and I'll hop out and take over on the combine here, and we'll finish out this little back section that we've got back here, and probably these couple of rounds right here, so that we can start the combine off going the other way before we start driving that truck up to the elevator, since it does take a few rounds for the combine to get all filled up here. This will keep the combine moving while we're working on things with that truck. So we're on the last pass up here in the corner. Things are looking good. We're at another 36% hopper capacity here, not quite 100 bushels. So I think what we'll do is just get this guy started back down the row here, and then I'll grab this grain cart. We'll empty out on the way back down, and hopefully that's going to be enough to get started here with the grain truck. We'll see. Get a standard worker going over here and see if we can catch up. There's not a lot left here because we did take off a good chunk of the headlands there, and we're on the curve, so we've got a race to catch up. My favorite part of harvest is always giving myself these like mini challenges to see if I can keep up with our workers. The old gleaner is taking a little bit of a beating here. The paint is getting worn off pretty good here. I suspect that our maintenance levels are probably also starting to get a little low, so we might have to take a look at that, see if we can patch things up here at some point. I know a lot of people on my members-only multiplayer servers have a tendency to ask for the mod that reduces how much paint damage as well as the general wear and tear on machines you see. We might have to look into getting that because this is really the first time I've noticed the paint wear and tear be quite so significant. It's looking pretty bad for one season's worth of use, and honestly we've only done a couple of fields, so I wouldn't expect to see quite so much damage to our combine done in that amount of time. Still not full, which is probably a good thing. It means we can wrap up what we're doing here on these last couple of long rows and get the combine headed the other way. So I'm just going to take over here. We'll finish up this pass and get switched around. All right, so we are at the end row here. We've got all of those angled rows cleaned up. I think what I'm going to do is just take a little bit more of this corner out, and then we're going to try and dump what's in the hopper here. I really hope we're getting to a full truck here. I really want to get that going, but what I'm trying to see here is where a good spot to cut through this field is going to be to start going back and forth. I think somewhere past where we just harvested up to will be good, so we'll probably start it on the far side closer to the trees to give it the maximum amount of back and forth while we're gone and running around here. And then we probably need to take off another headland pass on the other side around by the trees there. I think we actually only did one originally, and we still haven't filled this truck up. I've seriously underestimated the size of these trucks, I think, so we're gonna stop goofing around here. We'll take a couple more passes off just to get rid of some of these pointy corners and set ourselves up for better success with the worker, hopefully. All right, I have cut out all of the angled rows here just about, and so we're gonna be dumping what we've got in the hopper here and hoping finally that we filled up the back of this truck. And either way, I think we're going to be setting up the worker to do some of these longer up-down rows on the sunflower field. I think we've got to be getting close here to about 50% of the field covered. And of course there is just a little smidgen left. Oh, no, we just weren't lined up very well. All right, 1.3 bushels left in the hopper. Good deal. So we are totally full there finally. And this is going to be good for us. Get this guy lined up here on his rows. We don't need the auger open just anymore. Let's jump over here to the truck and check our contract and see if we can figure out where this needs to go. It needs to go to Johnson Grain, which is the long distance of right across the road from us here. So let's go ahead and just make sure that this contract is the one that's highlighted. I can turn on contract details here. We can see that we've worked 53.7% of the field already, which is interesting. We're only 45% done according to that progress meter. But field work, we're getting there. So I'm going to leave that on, and we're going to hop in here and jump across the road here, see if we can figure out where we need to go. There's a lot of dump points here, so we're going to go ahead and turn on the helper so that I know exactly where to dump. And it looks like it's the center one, not the one on the side here, which is good to know. I'm going to switch us to the front here, the truck, and maybe I'll try and back us up just a little bit into here. I think if we can get the top of the dump truck to stay inside the building, we'll get a little bit longer before we end up hitting up against that roof. Maybe we won't even hit that roof. It looks like maybe this is just a little bit taller. Nope, we are going to tap it out. That's all right. 100% transported for field 12. So since we've got multiple fields here, it looks like we're counting towards delivering all of these because we have multiple contracts here. So I'm a little bit worried because now we've only transported 6% for field 27 while we finished the other 2 contracts from a transport perspective at least. So we might not even know if we're going to finish this field's contract until we harvest the other 2 fields now, which will be a little bit unfortunate. I really hope that's not the case. So we're either cheating and getting credit for all of them at once here, or it completed the other 2 before we got to the field that we're actually harvesting, which would be a little bit awkward. We've now transported 30% for field 27, but unfortunately, we're already 57% of the way through that field. Now, the fact that we've delivered all the sunflowers we need from these 2 means that we can, in theory, go and harvest those and deliver the sunflowers for this contract now. I just wish it would have filled up the contract we were actively working on first. That's a little confusing is all, but it is what it is. So we're going to go ahead, I think, and drive this truck all the way down to the other end of the field here. I think after we finish the next couple passes here, we're going to be working on the other side of this field, and it'll be a lot harder to drive down here to fill up the truck. So better to bring the truck, which can drive quite a bit faster than the tractor, to the far end of the field and load up there. And so much like before, I think what we're going to do is pull in right here by this farm. The ditch is really shallow here, so I feel comfortable jumping into it here. And this is a nice out-of-the-way spot to leave the truck. Our harvester is just about 50% full, so it should make it to the end of the field here, which means we can jump over here to the grain cart and catch up with the harvester as it turns around here on this end of the field. And we're back after some minor technical difficulties, which resulted in a lot of me talking to myself and not recording most of it. So we've made a few rounds here and unloaded that into the truck. And what I'm noticing here now that we're up against the trees is we do not have enough room to be turning around here because we only did a single pass along the tree line here previously. And so I think what we need to do now is do a full round on the headlands, take off a couple more passes, give us some room to turn around by these trees. And so we're going to take over here and dive in and do that. And hopefully shouldn't be too painful here. It is a nice gradual curve as we go along. And we're making pretty good progress on the contract itself. We're at 61% on the contract, 65% of the field worked. So I think when we start delivering the next load of corn here, the next load of sunflowers here, we're going to see a pretty significant jump in the contract progress just because, like I said before, it looks like we used up a lot of our product on the other 2 smaller contracts, which we won't be able to complete until we get over there and harvest them, even though we've delivered all of the grain for those contracts. So that's all right. It just means it's going to take a little bit longer until we know whether or not we're going to succeed or fail on contract 27 here. Because if we fail, we'd be in a pretty bad spot because that means we've wasted all of this time and we won't make any money off of this contract. So that would make me extremely sad. So I'm still very anxious about this, but we'll see how it goes. I'm hopeful, but anxious. And you can see here, field 12 is the one right on the other side of these trees that we need to harvest. I'd probably actually just go harvest it if there was a path through these trees. But I don't think there's anywhere we can squeeze a combine through these woods. And in order to get there, you can see the little road on the mini map we'd have to go all the way around the central part of the map here to get over there, which seems like it would just be a bit much right now for us to go do. I'd rather stay focused on trying to get this contract done. And so my goal today is to wrap up harvesting all the rest of this field and verify one way or another if we're going to be able to knock out this contract from a groundwork perspective at a minimum. So that's going to wrap up the third pass here on the headlands. That's what we did on the other side, and it seems to be working pretty well for us. So we're going to just get the worker going back here on the up and down rows again and jump back over here into the grain cart tractor and unload this guy on the way back up. It looks like we're now 62% of the way done here with field 27. Really curious to get a load of sunflowers delivered here just to see what it's going to do to our percentages. I wish they would break up the difference between the crop delivered and the ground worked a little bit better. I'm pretty sure this is a mod that I have installed here. So I guess I have the delivered and to go liters right here. So I can kind of make that judgment. It's just the worked field percentage that I guess is giving me a little bit of pause. I feel like we've got a good chunk of land left to go, but I just don't know if we have, 40%. I guess it'd be more like 30-something percent left, according to those calculations. So maybe I can see that. We'll see. So I'm going to unload this here real quick, I think, and let the worker keep going here on the field. It takes him several rounds to get full. And I think we've done quite a bit of that the last couple of episodes here, so I'm going to just cut through some of that. Sometimes I like to do time lapses, sometimes I will just cut past that, I think. And since we've been doing this job for a few episodes now, I'm going to go ahead and cut up here a little bit. We'll see if we can knock this field out real quick and get this crop delivered and answer all of the pending questions that I've been rambling about here for the last 2 episodes. So unfortunately, it looks like we're getting rained out here. I just got a message that says yield is reduced while it's raining, so at least you can still harvest in the rain. But given that we've already got a concern on yield with the big chunk of the field inaccessible due to the feed mill, we're going to take a small pause in the harvest. We'll unload the combine here, and I'm going to bump the clock up a little bit, see if we can move past these rain showers, hopefully, because we've already got some clouds predicted in the near future here. It's not going to rain for very long, and we can kind of get back into things. This is really putting a damper on my desire to knock this field out this episode. So let's see how much grain we've got in the truck after we get this cart up there. Maybe we'll go ahead and deliver the load of grain even though the truck isn't quite full. We've got the truck full. The pulp trailer behind it is only partially filled, and I don't think that this 99 bushels is going to quite top us off. But we'll get turned around here, we'll go unload, and I think we'll just run this up anyway because I really want to see how we're doing overall, and we can't do a whole lot while it's raining. As I've driven over here to unload into the truck, the rain has picked up significantly and it's getting quite dark out. So my hopes of maybe this just being a quick shower are dropping quickly here. I think we need to get the truck all tarped up here before this grain gets too wet on us. And we're going to go ahead and just run this up to the elevator. As you can see, we're only 77% full here at this point in time. Not quite a full load, but enough to get a sense for how we're doing on this contract. If I bring open the contract window, you can see we've got 81% of the field worked here. We're at 75% of the contract overall. And I think dumping this grain is going to give us a much bigger number here. Now we've got a small break in the rain. I'm going to slow time way down. And we're going to try and jump right back out into harvest as soon as we dump this off. I think if we can hurry, we can wrap up the harvest before the rain starts up again, because it looks like we've got some more rain in the forecast here. So I'm going to go ahead and let this dump since we're here. And with that first hopper dumped, that's 54% of our grain. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the field here, though, so there's not a lot of grain left to deliver for this contract, or not a lot of grain left that we're going to harvest. So I'm still thinking we're going to end up needing to do those other small fields now. We'll find out, though. Might as well get the rest of this dump, though, real quick. And that puts us at a total of 67% transported, with a total completion on the contract at 82%. So we're going to see, it's going to come down to the wire here, I think, on this field, because there's not that much left to harvest. But that's all right. We're going to do it. We're going to see what happens. Let's go ahead and get out here. Now, right before I filled up, we were taking off the headland along the tree line on the other side of the field here, because we were running out of room to turn around as we get closer and closer to the end of these long rows. And so we're going to just blow right through this stop sign and get this guy all set up here again. We're really anxious to get the harvest moving before the rain starts up again here. I think if we can hurry up and get the headland pass off here and get right back into doing those long rows, we might just get enough done to eke out this contract. We'll see. All right, so we have finished harvesting all of the sunflowers on this field, and I think if we look in here, we're at 99.4% of the worked field progress and 94% of the contract overall. And this is making me very concerned, because I think we do need to get to 100% of that worked field progress before we get credit for finishing the contract. And we're just not going to have any good way to get to that last little bit that's over by the feed mill. So we're going to empty out the sunflowers here, and we're going to just, I guess, see where we get when we deliver this truckload of sunflowers up to the elevator. Now, we do have the other fields that we can go and get some product off of and run that up to deliver. So I'm not too worried about getting to 100% of our delivery numbers, but we didn't get to 100% of our land harvested number here, which is, I think, going to be the one that causes us grief. We'll see. Maybe we'll have to end up selling the feed mill. We'll get all the feed out of it, and I can sell that and replace it after we harvest, something like that. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'm going to just leave the combine up here for the time being, though. And we're going to get these sunflowers up into the truck and run this truck up to the elevator. Just for kicks, I think we're going to come in the other side of the sell point here. I don't know why I suddenly felt like reversing direction, but why not? And unfortunately, we didn't even fill up the truck. We've got it 93%, I think it was, full. So we're going to go ahead and just start dumping this and see where we get. And there, as you can see, we're at 89% sunflowers transported for field 27, putting us at 98% completion here. So I think maybe, actually, if we do get the rest of the sunflowers from these other fields brought up here, we could actually finish that contract. However, given the length of this episode already, I think we're going to hold off on wrapping up these last two little fields for next episode. It won't take long. We'll probably do a good chunk of that work off camera even, we'll see. But we made a ton of progress today. We've had a few mishaps, some adventures along the way, but we're getting really close here to finishing off these contracts. We do have some more rain coming, so we're gonna have to try and rush the rain here over the next episode. But I'd say at 98%, I feel pretty confident we can get the rest of the liters delivered at least. We've got 7,000 liters to go on delivery. Hopefully that's going to push us up over the edge there and we'll be good to go. With everything all emptied out and at 98% of progress, there's not a lot else left to do today. So we're going to wrap up the episode here. Appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed the episode, drop a like. It helps me out a lot. That's all for today. Kedrick out. I don't know what's going on right now. GPS has a mind of its own. And so we're going to have probably a little bit of a fun time jumping into here. Oh, it looks like I caught the edge of the staircase here. Really, Combine? We're just sitting here. You're supposed to turn around and go the other way. What are you doing? What are you doing? Ridiculousness.